Released on the 25th of March 2022 and developed throughout the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands is a spin-off Borderlands experience that takes players on a madcap journey through the beguiling and enchanting imagination of Tiny Tina in the form of a tabletop role-playing game called Bunkers and Badasses. Wonderlands is a huge game with an array of beautifully created semi-open world environments for the player to discover and explore, all draped in the trademark cell shading technique that the Borderlands series is renowned for. Concept artist Samuel Aaron Whitehead has created some wonderful imaginative ideas that the whole level design team have brought to life, taking full advantage of the Unreal 5 engine that often gives Wonderlands a separate identity within the Borderlands franchise. In terms of gameplay, Wonderlands utilises much of that which was present in Borderlands 3. Despite being a game that is set against a high fantasy tabletop role-playing game theme, thankfully there are guns. Lots of guns, with some new and fun variations for players to try out. As with past Borderlands games, there are different classes to try out, all based on fantasy role-playing game archetypes. However, Wonderlands introduces the ability to dual-wield classes, allowing a player to choose a secondary class after level 18. Players can then choose skills from both classes and will utilise all of them at the same time. This adds a lot of variation, more depth to character class builds, and more replayability to try out new builds and classes. The class builds are interesting and each class leans into certain specialisations that affect approaches to gameplay. For example, the Stabbermancer is more suited to critical hits, stealth and ranged combat, whereas the Clawbringer focuses on certain elemental damage types, a pet and melee combat bonuses. Combat is generally a lot of hectic fun, with special effects going off all over the place, loot scattered everywhere, and the opportunity to try out different combinations of guns, spells, elemental damage types and melee weapons. There are times though that it seems enemies are constantly spawning behind you while you are fully engaged with everything to the side and front of your character, and this reviewer feels that should have been reined in, but at the least it keeps you on your toes. Another relatively minor gripe for this player was that the jumping height of the character felt a little too restricted. A little bit more airtime would have been welcomed. After all, this is a land full of magic. The world of Wonderlands not only includes semi-open maps to explore, but an expanding map known as the Overworld, which embodies the idea of a tabletop role-playing game and links the large semi-open world areas together. The Overworld itself contains many quests, secrets and slews of mini-dungeons, which are basically arena battles. The dungeons are a good way to gain experience and loot, but they can also be triggered by random encounters as you traverse the Overworld map. Initially this is fun, but later on you will be glad that you can opt out of random encounters by pressing, on the PlayStation 5, R3. The story of Wonderlands is an easy to follow good guys versus bad guys idea that has a very good payoff at the end, a payoff that will especially resound with those players who have both played and enjoyed Borderlands 2 and 3. The Borderlands series, and consequently Wonderlands, is renowned for its comedic touch, and when it is striking true it gets close, but never equals, the type of comedy you would find here in Mel Brooks' 1987 Space.
Try here. Stop. What the hell am I looking at? When does this happen in the movie?
Now. You're looking at now, sir. Everything that happens now is happening now.
What happened to then?
We passed then.
When?
Just now. We're at now.
Go back to then.
When?
Now.
Now?
Now.
I can't.
Why?
We missed it.
When?
Just now.
And yes, this reviewer did just use that as an excuse to place a clip of Spaceballs in this review. However, there are times when it is just too saturated with attempts at comedy, too many one-liners and quips being fired at the target, with some landing and many missing. Which ones land and which ones hit will also be dependent on the particular player's idea of humour. There are quite a few times when this reviewer laughed, and quite a few times when he almost winced. Having stated the above though, the writers Connor Thomas Cleary, Lynn Joyce, Sam Maggs, Dante Silva, Catherine Vu and Samuel Winkler have delivered a very good game script and a wonderful new Borderlands experience. Vastly helping the player to engage and immerse themselves within the Bunkers and Badasses experience are the voice acting talents of Ashley Birch as Tiny Tina, Andy Brooklyn 99 Sandberg as Valentine, Wanda Sykes as Fret, and Will I'm Batman Arnett as the Dragon Lord. Joshua Caro imbues the whole experience with a percussive-laden, ethereal and magical canvas of musical ideas that help segregate Wonderlands from Borderlands. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands is an often delightful and rewarding departure from Borderlands and is sure to entertain and amuse all but the most dour of personalities.
Monsters with my bows, or maybe I'm a Stambo-mancer, riding in the shadows, killing with superior speed. Wait a second, I've just seen I can multi-pass.